if you read my blog post yesterday, you will see that I made a mistake in my knitting. I designed this pattern in 2017, so 6 years ago. So I just thought I knew it. I looked to see how many to cast on, but I didn't, and I knew it was rib, but I didn't look to see what we're starting with. So I started with a knit 2 when it starts with a purl 2. And I also did that in the video on how to do the first round and telling you that it starts with a knit 2. It doesn't, it starts with a purl 2. So I'll try and go back and edit that video, but if you're watching it in sequence before I get a chance to edit it and you're watching it and it says knit 2, we start with a purl 2. The other thing that I did is, for some reason, cast on 50 stitches rather than 48. And I didn't even notice that I was ending with a knit 2 and starting with a knit 2 until I came to measure the rib. And then I saw a nice knit 4 together and I'm like, what is happening there? So I recounted the stitches. So these videos that I do are unedited, I don't know if you can tell, and unfiltered. And that's kind of how I want to do these, because this is the internet. You're watching this on Instagram or YouTube, but I also have Purl Jane Studio and I talk to knitters in real life, and there is a huge difference between what's on the internet and what real life knitters are like and the experiences. So on the internet, I get it, you see all these knitted things and you think, oh wow, and they are amazing, but you never see what goes on behind the scenes. So like this finished sock, I could show you a ball and then I can do another screen and show you a knitted sock, and that happens in an instant. Whereas how long is it going to take to knit a sock? And sometimes it takes a week, sometimes a month, sometimes years. So these videos, I just wanted to give a touch on what it's like to really knit a sock. And really knit a sock, even though you designed the pattern, knitted the sock before, and then came back 6 years later to redo it, and you didn't look at the pattern. So as knitters, we're always pulling back. So that I tell people who come into my studio and they want to learn to knit, but they say I make mistakes. And I say the difference between a beginner and a more experienced knitter is a more experienced knitter makes more mistakes. So a beginner might make one mistake and give up and go, oh my God, I made a mistake. An experienced knitter will go, made a mistake, got to take it back, got to fix it. Sometimes you can fix it on the next row. So making mistakes and knitting is what happens. So that's what happened yesterday. And I took the rib back and I knitted this much. But when I came to look at the cabling, and yesterday I was like, yay, I'm really getting on with this. I'm gonna knit this in a week. It's so great. And then I looked, and I think I've missed out a couple of rounds because it's not how I designed it. So I think I must have missed out 2 rounds. So I'm going to pull it back, and that also just shows you what happens. You're merrily knitting away and forget to do the first and second round or something. I've done something, I don't know what it is, but this is not correct. So I'm going to pull back and try again and see what's happening here. So you can pull back stitch by stitch. So if you've made a mistake and it's just on the last round, you can unknit it. And so that is where you go into the stitch. I'll do another video of this. It's not really, but you're going into the stitch. Oop, and see, I've dropped that one. Oh, you can't. I should show you. So these ones I've dropped. It's really tricky to show you and do it at the same time. Those ones I've dropped. So I go into the stitch and I just pull. So that's, and oh, it's tricky to show you. So that's unknitting. So you're going back, and I'm doing it quickly, but I will do a close-up video. And as I said, these are unknitted. Lana is crying Lana the dog is crying because I have put her back now, so she's not jumping up on my knee, but she wants to jump up on my knee. So she's, you probably can't hear it, it's a very gentle little whine. So, now the only trouble with taking back on cables, this isn't a cable row, is that the stitches are twisted, but this isn't a cable row. So this is me taking back. Now, if you're a non-knitter, if you don't knit, you might be watching me and thinking that I'm knitting, but I'm taking back. So that's what happens sometimes when you watch knitters and you think they're always knitting. Sometimes they might be taking back and you don't know. So I've taken back rows here. Just one stitch at a time. I'll go into the stitch and I'll pull. Oh, and that one's come off. Just have to do this down here. Actually, we don't have to because I'm going to pull all of them off. So I'll show you, but I hold the yarn around my little finger, and then this is your tension here. So then when you pull, you just can pull your finger up like that. Just a slight pull on my finger, and it, so I've gone into the stitch, pulled it off. It sort of happens at the same time. So this has gone into the stitch, but like I say, I'll do up a close-up of that. Lana wants to show you as well, but like I say, you might be able to hear her, might not. So that's if you're taking row by row. Because I want to take back to the ribbing, I'm going to take the needles out. Now when I do this to beginners, sometimes they exclaim out loud, you know, like that. But don't worry, they're not going to go anywhere. So just take them all out. Take all your needles out. And then all your live stitches. They are not going to go anywhere. And then you just pull. So I'm pulling out all that knitting. Whoa. There you go. And then I will put these stitches back on the needle. Now, again, I will show you how to do that with a close-up tomorrow, or if I can do it tomorrow, but I will show you a close-up. So that is the tail. So that is where we're going to start. And then we're just going to put the stitches back on the needle. Now, like I say, it's better. But what I do is I put my thumb just underneath the stitch and it's not going to go anywhere. So I'll do a close-up. But that's what I wanted to talk to you today, that knitters make mistakes. And you just pull back, and tomorrow, the next day, I will be up to the same place, paying careful attention to the pattern that I wrote, but I've decided that I know what I'm doing 6 years later, as if I remember. But yes, that is probably my advice today. Pay attention to the pattern. Okay, see you next time. Bye.